diving in. Do you have anything that you specifically wanted to talk about?
No, not particularly. Um,
I feel like we can run with Worlds for quite a while.
Absolutely. I watched every Worlds game, so
Yeah,
I'm
I
well
watched
acquainted with it.
practically all of them, and if I didn't watch them, I read up and watched highlights and stuff.
Yep,
So
saw the highlights. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. There were a few that I didn't catch. I just watched the highlights, but for the most part, because I wake up at about 6 a.m. for work, so then I would have Worlds on one screen while I was doing work on the other one.
gotcha.
So
Cool.
the timing in China worked out for me all right.
um, wait, I should be on. God damn it! Why did I have to change everything with stream? I don't know where I am. Oh, the chat's right there. I'm an idiot. Okay. Yep, we are good to go. So I'm gonna hit record. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go right into Worlds talk because I feel like we could talk about Worlds for a while, and like talking about Worlds. The other thing I kind of wanted to talk about is how like the meta affects like solo queue and stuff like that. And so I feel like once we start talking about Worlds and stuff, we'll get into those champions, and then we could like segment into more like solo queue esque stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
I think that'll be plenty of material.
yeah, and I'm also all right with like doing a duo cast, like if it's shorter than like an hour. I don't think we need to exhaust ourselves trying to hit an hour if we can't with only two of us. So,
Agreed.
all right, starting up in three, two. What is up, everybody? I'm your host Wormlax today for LOLA 296. I'm joined by the ever beautiful Danger Penguin.
Yeah, I'm looking good. I don't even have my glasses on because there's too much reflection. You couldn't see my
Yeah,
eyes, and I know that really draws the people in. So I gotta let them shine. You know.
yeah, actually, the librarian effect from your glasses was too much for me, so I personally asked him to take them off because I didn't want to be too aroused for this whole. It's hard to concentrate on our world's talk if I'm
Yeah.
thinking about danger the whole time.
If
So
there's one thing that Wormlax likes, it's librarians. It's his thing, and
that's
I'm not gonna shame. You know,
that's
like
why Yumi is my favorite character in the game. She's on the book
cat,
all the time. I mean,
cats, and librarian. I mean, it's just a double up, man.
if anyone knows me when they play League with me, they know that I love characters that just heal people and don't actually play the game. That's what I love about League of Legends, just spamming one ability while sitting someone else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So without too much cat hate, one thing that obviously is very prevalent in the league scene right now, Worlds 2020 is in full swing. It's nice to see the guys back on stage. Honestly, it's kind of weird because I don't know if they're playing better or worse for it since there's still no crowd. But man, Worlds has been spicy. So
Oh, it's been very spicy.
I'd like to hear from you. What's your most want to discuss topic coming out of Worlds after we're into semifinals now. Semifinals are set for this weekend.
Yeah, so I think we should at least hit on NA and their performance. I think NA is actually getting a ton of flame when two of our teams performed damn well for what they were considered to do.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's talk a little bit about them first. FlyQuest went 3 for 3 in what was a death group, right? You
Mhm.
got TES and and DRX, right? That was their group.
Mhm.
And TES considered top esports, the number one seed coming in, and
Yep.
they fucking took a game off of them.
They did. They did take a
They
game.
fucking took a game off them, and they went three and three. I think that's really respectable, and it's something that showed that they played their style and they didn't buckle when like mid game might not have been going perfect for them. A lot of teams, okay, top esports, here they come, steamroll. We're done, roll over. They didn't do it. And so, I mean, they did get absolutely smashed in the first game. But ignoring that smash, that the second game showed that they learned. They adjusted, and going 3 for 3, I was really proud of FlyQuest. I thought that was very impressive for them to pull off.
Yeah, I think that FlyQuest especially, like I was even like the first Worlds podcast that we did before or after knockout and before group stage, I was very like I don't think FlyQuest is going to do well. They might even bottom 4 in their group. Like I didn't think they were going to get out and they pleasantly surprised me with like taking a game off top. Like, no matter if it was just like a lot of people talk about like it's just a best of one. Like, I think that still matters a lot. Like, especially when you look at TSM going 0-6. Like, they couldn't take one game off of anyone in their group, and FlyQuest took a game off. Was considered like the favorite going in, like you said. So
Yeah, I was really impressed with them. I guess we could touch on TSM now. So we'll go high, low, mid, high. So low TSM. Holy shit! Did they look unprepared? Like it looked disjointed at every phase of the game, and I'm really disappointed they didn't try and sub someone in. Who'd they bring? Did they bring Treats?
I want to say Treats, but I don't know for sure.
I don't know why you don't sub him in that second week after you looked so lost in the first 3 games.
Oh, it was definitely Treats because I remember seeing stuff about him climbing on Super Server. So yeah, it was definitely Treats.
So like, put him in and see if it sparks something. You know, like they went in with seemingly no game plan. Mm-hmm. They lost all of their games, and it didn't even feel like they cared that much. Like when you would like I know it's not always fair, you know, like these are 20-year-old kids, you know, like, so, you know, like the oldest is like 25, you know, like, so you got to keep that in mind. But you know, like when you see them on cam like laughing after their like 6th death, you know, like it's not a good look, right? It might be how you deal with adversity, and so I don't always like to judge it, but it's not a great look. And it just the optics are you go 0-6. And it seems like you just mailed it in. Like it just it was really rough to watch as an NA fan. I'm not a TSM fan at all, and even it hurt me. So I knew like you who's a TSM fan, Astros, who was on our last cast, who's a TSM fan. I can't even imagine how it felt for you. Actually I can. I'm a Lions fan. So I know exactly how it felt for all of you. It felt terrible, and like there's no hope and no future.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is just that like you said about like the mailing it in, it wasn't even a like I was watching and I was like, oh man, like 1 or 2 fights go differently, like they win 2 or 3 games in this group and they look a lot better. No, it wasn't that. They looked like the whole time they were playing like a dog with their tail between their legs, like ready to go home, like. And, you know, it's kind of been talked about, and it's all speculative, so we can't really know, but I almost wonder if the stuff about, like, Doublelift having, like, some kind of mental block with Worlds is true, because he really looked terrible. Like, straight up terrible. You died at level 1 as Ezreal. Like, I know everyone's going to bring that up, that, like, the glare, but how, as a pro, do you not respect a level 2 all-in? That is the stuff we teach to silver and gold players to climb.
Wait, hoping to climb to plat, right?
Yeah. So, and on Ezreal, too, of all champions, to die, like, Ezreal almost never, unless you're going to hard push for level 2, like you have a good pushing support, you're almost never going to get the level 2 advantage. So
right, you need a mage support who's taking out the wave with you.
Yeah,
right?
So unless you're like hard pushing that, like you should be playing back. Like there is no reason to be within even hook range at that point.
And you can, because you're Ezreal.
Yeah.
you have a butt called Q.
Yeah. Walk up and Q a minion, like lose 1 or 2 if you need to. It's better than dying at level 1. Like, man, I'm a hard stuck plat player this season, and I know that. Like that's why there has to be some kind of mental block, because you know he's better than that. Like I know for a fact that he is better than that. Yeah.
We've seen him his entire career, and he is better than that. But you're right, when he gets on that world stage. And I can't put it all on him because, I mean, Biofrost looked lost as
terrible.
Well.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably have put him as the worst performing player in the entirety of group stage.
Yeah, I can see that argument for sure.
He was completely invisible and almost did. I couldn't tell you one like play that he made that like was memorable to me. So, you know, like there might be other worse performing, but he's definitely down there in it.
Yeah.
And so what were you going to do? You know, like if your bot lane's getting that smashed, like I thought Spica didn't play terrible.
No, Spica played.
I thought he played
Like,
you know,
he did
decent.
what he could
Yeah,
considering the circumstances. Like, I would not put any of their losses on Spica, and he's a rookie coming into Worlds on a TSM squad that has, like, huge hopes. Like, that's the other part that's so confusing to me is that this is our number one seed. Like, this wasn't, the team that had to fight their way out of the knockout stage to get into groups. This was our number one seed, and they looked like a wrecking crew through the playoffs this split. Like everyone thought that they weren't that great. They might even miss Worlds this year, and then they pulled it together. They fought through and got
they
first
ran through
place.
the losers bracket. They just ran
Yeah,
through everyone. And
and
when it was happening, all I could think of is, oh no, they're going to Worlds. like I didn't want to see them at Worlds for this exact reason. I was terrified that I mean, like all the C9 fans, I'm a C9 fan. You're like, oh, like C9 would have done better. I honestly think they would have, but they
yeah,
shit the bed earlier. So, like they're even worse in my opinion because they shit the bed when it mattered the most, which was to get to Worlds.
right,
At
right.
least TSM got to Worlds. I mean, I don't want to get to Worlds and get embarrassed like that.
But at the
Like,
end of the day, they went, and
but they went.
C9 didn't. So
It's better.
yeah,
But yeah. So TSM was rough. Fly, great performance. TSM rough. Team Liquid, they went 3 for 3 as well, right?
hmm
3-3.
yep,
Um, perfectly acceptable performance. Dropping a game to what was it? Not PSG, the other was
oh,
it Maki?
Maki, yeah,
Yeah,
Machi, I think.
dropping a game to Maki in that first round was very rough because
Yeah,
otherwise they would have been 4-2. They took a game off of Suning, who
yep,
has looked great.
hmm
And the worst part is they could have had the tiebreaker if G2 just pulled their head out of their ass and didn't. They, to me, that was the single trolliest experience of Worlds so far when they picked Kalista bot lane and Senna.
yeah, it's
Like,
really weird.
who the fuck does it? And then they got stomped, right? They
Yeah.
got absolutely obliterated, and it was like a joke to them because
Yeah.
I think they thought they were going to win the next tiebreaker anyway. So let's try something weird. Oh, we lost, and then Suning ended up taking it from them. So it
Yeah.
ended up putting them that. So, but Team Liquid honestly performed pretty well. They took a game from Suning. They took a game from G2.
Yep. hmm
I mean, they showed up. That first week they played so passive. It was like so disheartening to see. And then in that second week they really picked it up.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm calling them weeks, but the second groupings, right? So you have
Yeah.
your first
Yeah.
3 games, and then you have your next 3. They were actually separated by 2 or 3 days, I think.
I
But go
I
ahead. Yeah.
I think the biggest difference is just like the difference between adaptations and like what they were drafting, like for the NA team specifically. All three NA teams, like Liquid and FlyQuest, look like they went, oh crap, we need to diversify, we need to change to this meta, and NA looked like they just got off the plane and started playing in groups. And it's like you've been there for what, like a month?
Yeah.
Like where is your scouting? Where is your changing of like adapting to the meta? Like one of the strongest mid picks has been Lucian. Like Lucian is not a hard champion. There's no way that Bjergsen cannot play Lucian, and yet they were having to ban it like every single game.
They were banning it. Yeah, and they were banning it when they could first pick it because
Yeah.
they didn't want to. And I think that just shows a weakness
Yeah.
of NA. Like, right? So you have a super strong pick that no one wants to play against,
hmm
and you don't want to play it yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
or even forcing the other team to like ban it at the very least. Like
but they don't. They're like, we're leaving Lucian up. You go ahead and take it. And they're like, oh
yeah.
fuck, we can't take it, so we better ban it with our last ban. It's just yeah.
That one's really weird to me too, because it would be one thing if it was like a champion like Set. Like when Set first came into the meta, that's a hard one to pick in mid because you have to play a very specific style to play around a tank mid laner. Like that can be true for a lot of like weird picks in mid, but Lucian is not one. He's just aggressive damage dealer. So
Right.
you pick
Get
your
you out of lane and dominate the lane and then roam. Like
yeah.
that's the definition of like 50% of mid laners,
Yeah, and,
right?
like,
Only
that's what-
he's doing it better than others right now.
Yeah,
So
and
you
that's like how Bjergsen plays like TF and Zoe. Like he's shown he can play that way. So like to just throw away like a ban every single game because you refuse to play a champ. Like, that's so weird to me. That's so
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. TSM bad. Team Liquid palatable. Right. I really
Yeah.
think they should have gotten second. Because they shouldn't have dropped that game to Maki, or they should
Yeah.
at least been in tiebreakers, right?
Yep.
So if they showed up for that first game and they were not, they mailed it. They didn't mail it in, but they just didn't seem as prepared for what they were going to get thrown at them.
Yeah.
And to their credit, they came back. They came back strong in their last 3 games. And overall, I think both Team Liquid and Fly's performance was good. I think, like when you see the teams they took games off of, when you see the way those teams are playing right now, you can say, okay, like that was a good performance. Team TSM, there was no good performance. But
yeah.
Outside of NA, what's stuck with you from Worlds so far?
I mean, I'm super happy that I predicted Damwon to win the whole thing because they have looked strong as hell. Like
monsters.
Yeah.
They're monsters.
The one surprise, like, not that they're necessarily doing good, but have looked like insanely good is Suning. Like, Suning has been strong. Like, they 3-0'd in their first quarterfinal. Like, I thought they were gonna. I put them to lose their quarterfinal, and then they 3-0'd it.
to be fair, they 3-1'd it.
3-1. Oh, my
took
bad.
the first, and
Yeah.
then they gave up all the others. But I
Yeah.
agree. I thought JDG hadn't played up to their capabilities in the groups, but I really thought they were going to turn it on. And they took all 4 games off of Suning that they played this split.
Yeah.
And if you go Suning over the course of the last 2 splits, they're like 7-1.
Gotcha.
So I really thought JDG was going to smash them. And I love JDG, so I was very disappointed that they didn't smash them. But I have to give a lot of credit to SFM. He's the Vietnamese import, and he's the first Vietnamese player ever to make quarterfinals, and now he's made semifinals. So I think that's really badass for him, and he's doing it being the carry. He's who they play around. Him and Bin top.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a cool play style. It's unique to them. I really like seeing someone from a smaller region, come up. He's got. I think the viewing on the Vietnam server was something like over 500,000.
Wow.
So I mean, and if you think of actual numbers in that country, that's insane.
Yeah.
So that's fucking badass and super cool for them. So, I'm not normally a huge Suning fan, but I do really like that story, and I am pissed that they knocked out JDG because I love JDG. They're one of my top 3 LPL teams that I root for.
The other games that were so heartbreaking was the Fnatic series.
Oh.
They were so close. It's like Misfits
man.
SKT all over again.
It's so painful. I am a Fnatic fan. That is my number 1 European team that I root for. Top Esports is the team I hate the absolute most in the LPL. I've always hated Jackie Love. Like, ever since he's come onto the scene, he's like watching him in the LPL in his first few years. Like, he just made so many stupid plays, and then he'd like get away with it because like his support would like save his ass. Now he's the one doing it. Don't get me wrong, Jackie Love, super strong, but he wasn't always that way. And it drove me nuts that he got like all this pub when I would watch these LPL games, and he'd be like, he's fucking getting carried by his entire team, like. So that was, for those who don't know, Fnatic was up 2-0, and to Fnatic's credit, no one thought they were even going to take a game.
Yeah, no.
Against Top Esports, and they came in with inventive play style. They let Jackie Love get Senna, and then they stomped him in the second game. Like, it was crazy impressive.
Yeah, it was.
Here's the 2 things that I think went really wrong for Fnatic. Game 3, Senna's up, and they don't take it for Reckless. They give him Jhin instead. Don't get me wrong, Jin's strong right now, but Reckless, in all honesty, has probably been the top 2 AD carries in the entire tournament.
He turned it up for Worlds.
His numbers were fucking insane. His damage per second was like double the next AD carry. Like, he he was playing out of his fucking mind, and especially on Senna. He had not lost on Senna, and he's open. Game 3, you could just stomp them into the ground, and then they take Jin. Don't get me wrong, Jin's strong right now. Jin's a good pick, but I don't know why you don't build around that Senna and say, okay, let's see if this just can get us our fucking 3-0.
Yeah.
Then they get stomped that game. Game 3, they got obliterated. Now they get into game 4, and they're stomping. At 28 minutes, they said it's like an 89% chance they win. And then they get picked. I think it's Reckless. He gets picked off on the way to a dragon fight. And then they take the fight anyway.
Yeah.
And they lose the dragon fight. They lose the Baron. They lose the game.
Yeah.
And then they get beat in game 5. You just don't take that fight, right?
Yeah.
It's okay to get picked off. Like it took
happens.
2 flashes, 3 ults, but then they're like, okay, these 2 flashes are down, these 3 ults are down. I think we can 4v5. They go in, they try and make the play, they don't,
Yep.
and they didn't need to fight for that Drake.
No,
it wasn't
they
so.
didn't.
It was their sole point, but it wasn't sole point for Top Esports.
Yeah.
You still have a 7K lead at that
Yeah.
point. You just pull off, get some vision at Baron, and play for the next fight. You still have the strength, and Reckless is your fucking carry, right?
Yeah.
So don't take the fight without him. It's
The one thing I will say is I think they thought, like, with flashes and ults used, that they could maybe like win that fight anyways.
That's exactly what they thought, and I understand that system, but knowing the way it played out, that's what hurts.
The reason I say that is just that I at least like that they lost because of the attempt for a play. Instead of, oh, we just turtled and we ended up losing anyways and didn't do anything. Like, at least they lost because they were like, all right, I think we're still strong enough to do this. And, like, I still think it's the wrong call, and hindsight is 2020 though. Like,
that's what it is. Because
Yeah.
if they all of a sudden take that dragon, get soul, and stomp that fight, they win the game and they win. They just win right then, right?
Yeah.
They just run it down mid and they get a victory. So
Yeah.
it's easy. It's easy to backseat Cass. I'm really proud of Fnatic. People
too,
were
yeah.
like, people were doubting them. Astros for one. Call out Astros. Coming into this tournament. And if you watch them play in the LEC, they were like 8-8 this season, right? They
Yeah.
barely made playoffs. And then when you saw them in playoffs, it was a 100% different team. It's really impressive to me how they went in very prepared. They understood the meta. They controlled their picks, and they took Top Esports, the #1 team, to the fucking brink. So, even though it really hurt, and I think they should have won that series, and I wish they had won that series. It was really cool. It was a fun series.
Yeah.
If it
was
wasn't
great.
heartbreaking, so. Fnatic has a lot to be proud of. It was really impressive. They used Nemesis correctly. They allowed Selfmade to make the plays they needed to, and Reckless just became an unrepentant beast. And something that's really cool for you people who like oddball picks, the first game of that series, last pick was Singe top to Bwipo, which
Yeah.
was fucking hilarious. So he went up against Ornn, and he was proxying not past the first turret, he was proxying past the second turret.
Yeah.
And like the entire team collapsed, and he still got away. It cost him his flash, it cost him his ult, but it was fucking hilarious watching Singe run away from everyone. And it was a really cool counter pick because it was up against an Ornn. So anytime Ornn would ult or start in a gauge, he'd throw his gloop down, and the gloop makes it so that you can't dash.
R, yeah.
And his R is considered a dash, and also his E isn't considered a dash. So he couldn't do either of those things once the loop came down. So it was a cool counter pick. It was clever. It showed that Fnatic was thinking about the game the way it needed to be thought about to really challenge a team. And that's something that we wish NA teams would do more often.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. And so if you're looking for a funny counter pick, do you have a favorite game? I have a favorite game, but I just was wondering if you have one.
Honestly, I think that Fnatic game is my favorite. Like, to have a Singed at Worlds again, like, with Europe, like, doing well, a Western team, like, even though it sucks it's not an NA team, at least, like, it's a Western team. The thing I love about that, too, is just, like, Europe kind of shut up the haters. Like, I really hate how much people tunnel on knockout stage. Like, everyone was praising, or not praising, sorry, they were hating on Europe, like, oh my god, Mad Lions couldn't even make it on knockout, like Europe sucks, like
Right.
if the group stage went the way that everyone like in the fan universe was talking about like it should go, Europe would have gotten like 06 in all their groups and NA would have won all their groups. Like everyone puts so much stock into knockout stage when it's like Mad Lions, like they're a young team,
All rookies except for one. Yeah.
coming into a Worlds tournament, like yeah, they did bad, but Fnatic and G2 both proved like, hey, like we're still here to play. Like we're still good European teams. We're still gonna do our stuff. And I think especially Fnatic taking 2 games in that series just was like, yeah, we're good. We're a good region. Like Mad Lions didn't do well, but that's not like how our region plays. Like that's one team.
Yeah, that was my favorite game as far as getting hype about a team because it's Fnatic and I love Fnatic. But if you want to watch a game that just is one of the closest best games of the knockout stages, but also literally the best casting I have ever heard in any sport, and I watch every fucking sport that exists, including every Olympic game that can possibly be played. I am an absolute sports junkie. And I'm also obviously an esports junkie. The game 1, Suning versus G2, was just the fucking craziest game of back, forth, backdoors, base races. This team's ahead, but it was Azael and Captain Flowers. And I am telling you, like I'm a huge Captain Flowers fan. I'm a huge Azael fan, but this was like next level shit. Like these fights were fucking insane. The way that Captain Flowers could encapsulate it. I have a couple friends who don't play League, but sometimes will watch League. Mm-hmm. And so one of them sent me a text and he's like, "Hey, what's one game that I should watch?" And I told him this game. It was that night. So like I had watched it that morning, and he's like, "Oh my!" Like he was texting me like throughout the game. He was like, "Holy shit! How does he do this?" You know, like he was like, "I don't even know what they're fucking doing, but I'm so fucking." It's just so fucking cool to see. Like, not just the game was awesome, but also to see like casting at that level. It was like next level shit. It was so impressive. So if you're gonna watch like just one game from the knockout stage, yes, it's not as important as it's not as important as the quarterfinals and the semifinals. Obviously, these games are the ones that will mean the most. But if you're looking for just like one of the most like classic League of Legends, was also some of the best casting you'll ever hear. That Sunny versus G2, their game 1 was fucking outstanding.
I wholly agree. Like, Captain Flowers is just insane. Like,
he's insane.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Peace Pigeon, the YouTuber. He does a bunch of like, well, he doesn't as much anymore. Like he does montages a lot, but it's more focused on like the actual like person instead of their gameplay. And he did one recently for Captain Flowers, and I was just like, it was like right after that game too, and it was like, by the way, I did this video for Captain Flowers, and it's like him getting hype, and it's some clips I hadn't seen before because it's some from when he used to cast for House Party, that in-house league. Yep. And yeah, he's just always been that good. I thought maybe he got better with getting on LCS. Nah, he's always been that good. It was absolutely insane. So,
and the way he got there is insane. Like if you read up on his story, it's just like a cool story of perseverance. He has no training in any of this. He was literally shoveling dirt before he got jobs. Like that was literally his job. And the way he trained himself, he said he could always talk fast, but like he taught himself. If you know Eminem, Rap God.
Yeah.
It's like it just spits constant lines, right? And it's just nonstop. He's like, I taught that myself to me in 3 days, so that he could then redo it, and that's what he would do to warm up for a cast.
That's
it's
crazy.
Fucking like Rap God, and I was like, oh my god, that's a fucking cool story. So like Worlds isn't just hype because it's some of the best League that you'll see played, but it's also some of the best casting you're gonna see. And I really respect all the casters from the other regions. I really like to see like LS, who does the Korean League. He's a very different caster, and like one of my friends is like, I don't like this at all. And I was like, it's an acquired taste, but like he's one of those like thinks about literally everything that's going on, and so
Yeah.
he's like, I don't know why you're not freezing this lane here, because you could deny 30 CS and be up, like 2,000 gold, but instead you want to back and pick up your pickaxe, like
Yeah,
it's
I think that LS is better for like the really seasoned like League of Legends player who really
Absolutely.
cares about like analytics and stuff like that, because he will get into the grit with like, yeah, like you said, oh, if you freeze this lane here, like you're gonna keep it here for this long, you're gonna get this much CS up. Like he's really good about that stuff, and then also talking about like item builds and itemization and stuff like that.
I love how they call the shopkeeper Boris.
Yeah.
It's like Boris claims another victim. Here's a Morellonomicon. Yeah, here's a Morellonomicon without any healing on the enemy team. That's just a bad buy. But it's it's really funny to me. But like I give all the casters their credit, but Captain Flowers is next level shit.
I think this is the first Worlds where like I don't see like a caster lineup and go like there's not one caster lineup that goes, I don't really love this one. Like I like all the caster lineups. In the past, I haven't loved Freak all the time, but I feel like he's gotten better. I feel like he's much better than he used to be.
Freak. I like I like some of his things. Like I like how he'll call out a team and be like, "This is fucking stupid. Why are you doing this right now?" I really like that about him. I don't like his casting style as much. So I agree with you there. And I think everyone has different acquired tastes. Like I really like Frostgaren. I liked her back from her LPL days when and a lot of people don't like her at all. And so I know everyone's got their acquired taste, but she, like she's someone who puts in like a ton of background and work, and when you like listen to her, she knows like what happened 4 years ago with this character, like with this person, so like I really like the amount of like studying and the thought she puts into things. So like I know like some people don't like her style of casting, which is exactly what I don't really love about Freak. Is like for me that style of casting doesn't hit everything, but I agree with you. I think all of them came really well prepared. I think all of them have brought their own unique style to each of their games, and it has been really enjoyable. There hasn't been a single group that I haven't enjoyed listening to their cast. So I agree with you.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot about the past games, but there's one game, the semifinals. I do want to talk about the matchups. I am super hyped for G2 Damwon. Like
G2 Damwon. This is gonna be, I hope, awesome.
If this isn't a game 5, I'm gonna be so sad. Like I hope there's 5 games of it. Like I hope this is like Rocks versus SKT. Like what was that, season 7 or 8? Like
yeah.
That like this could be. These are just two powerhouses. They both look like on fire. Like oh my god, Caps is a beast. Like he looked like otherworldly
on his Silas.
Yeah.
Oh my god, when he was 11-0-11,
he looked like he was playing against Silvers. Like he was just stomping. Like
it was so fucking cool. I saw a breakdown of his big fight where like he looks like he was dead like 9 times.
Yeah.
And, like all of like it went through like the clicks that he was doing within like a 6-second range to kill 3 people and heal himself back up to full, and it was like really fucking cool. Yeah, we didn't hit on these two, but G2 beat Gen G 3-0 stomp. Fucking looked great doing it. Looked like they really knew what they were doing with all of their picks. Their
Astro's wrong again. Gen G doesn't win Worlds. Didn't bring him to defend himself, but fuck you, Astro.
Yeah, that's the best time to get him. DWG Damwon looked fucking unbeatable versus DRX. I felt really bad for DRX.
Yeah, running it back.
They were stomped all season by DWG, and then they have to go into quarterfinals and face DWG. So they didn't even get to test their mettle versus someone else. So that does suck for them. But they got fucking embarrassed out of that round. Like DWG just looked so fucking strong. So I really do. I hope it's a hype series. I think that Caps is playing absolutely out of his mind right now. And it's funny because he's going up against Showmaker, who's considered probably one of the top 2 mid laners with Knight, right?
Yep.
So, so this is Caps' chance. You beat him. You're not one of the top 2 mid laners with Knight. And I think too often people say like Caps is the best European player ever. I think that he should be considered one of the best mids ever. Like he has literally gone to every except for 2017, his rookie year, his first split, he didn't go to MSI.
Yeah.
He goes to finals. He gets to finals with Fnatic. He gets to finals with G2 in back-to-back Worlds. He wins MSI with G2. You know, like he's gone through these international tournaments.
He's won what, 6 consecutive LEC splits?
6 consecutive LEC splits. Like he's not just the best player to come out of Europe. He might be one of the best mid laners we've seen.
Yeah. I mean, if they I still think that it's going to be really hard for them to beat Damwon because Damwon's really strong.
Agreed.
If they beat Damwon, 90 to 95% they win Worlds. I cannot see a world where they come off beating Damwon and then flounder in finals. I feel like if they can...
The only problem is you're probably up against top, you know?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't say for sure because they might go into the other game and you haven't... I mean, even Suning, right? They dropped a game to Suning in groups, so if Suning makes it
they
up
dropped 2 because they lost the tiebreaker too. I mean, the first one was a fucking straight-up troll game, so I don't even fucking count that. So you're right, they lost 1 game to Suning.
Yeah.
The first one doesn't count. Fucking Callista Senna bot lane. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like you said about Caps, he's legitimately I think that Faker has enough pedigree from his past seasons that is as far as overall best players, not right now. Obviously Faker isn't the best player right now, but I think that Faker is still number 1 in terms.
It's going to be hard to ever beat Faker as considering the amount of clout he had in his prime, right? Yeah, we all know Faker's not in his prime anymore, and it's sad to see, but no one struck fear into anyone's heart going up against Faker. And I think that's important to remember. You know, if you're just entering the scene, if you go back to 2014, 2015, 2016, this man people,
Demon King.
They were just terrified to play against him, and they would play worse. He had this aura about him, where a good player would come to the game and just look like he's silver because he was up against Faker, and he didn't want to I know he's going to do this, so I got to be scared of it. No, yeah. So I agree. Faker's number 1. And right now there are a lot of good mid laners.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing too, right? If Showmaker or Knight, if they whoever ends up winning Worlds, they pretty much cement themselves as the best mid laner right now in the world, and if they keep doing well in the next couple of years, could cement themselves as the. I think whoever wins Worlds this year is gonna start cementing themselves as the best mid laner ever. They have that potential to actually pass Faker, especially Caps, who especially with so much Western team doubt, right? Everyone is always oh, which Korean or Chinese team is going to win Worlds this year? And yet,
for good reason. It's been happening for 9 years.
Yep, for good reason. But Caps has proven with Fnatic and G2 that he can at least get close. And I think, they take games off of these teams, so it's not impossible those last years that they could have been the World's winners. So I really hope that this is the year that they take it, but they've got a huge stepping stone in Damwon.
Yeah, and I think a big key, so it's not just Caps who's playing insane. They have one other player that's playing at the top of his level, and that's Mickey X.
Yeah.
His support has been fucking outrageous. If you go back and watch his Bard game, it is fucking cool as hell. He was basically controlling the entire map. He was roaming with Jankos. That's something that's been really good, is that pairing, Mickey X roaming with Jankos. Jankos was so strong last year, and then this year he took a real step back, but I think that he's kind of finding his footing right now.
Yeah.
I've always been a big Wonder fan. He's just been holding it down, though. I don't think that he's going to stomp any of these lanes from here on out. I think that he needs to not get stomped.
Yeah.
And Perks has not been playing great, but Mickey X has been. So it's kind of covered up for Perks.
Yep.
I think Perks has the ability to turn around, and he did play some very good Jhin games, right, in that in that series. I wouldn't be surprised if he draws a Jhin ban, because he has not looked nearly as good on the other main ADCs as his Jhin right now. But then you're not banning out Caps picks, right? So that's a dangerous fucking move.
Caps is scary, but Mickey X has looked awesome. I mean, he's the reason too that Caps got that insane play at the end. He saved him with Tom Kench. His Tom Kench play is impeccable. That's always been Tom Kench. I feel has always been one of the deciding factors for if a team is good or not, or a support is good or not, because he's such a weird playstyle. But if you play him right and save people at the opportune times, like he's so good. And like watching NA teams like stumble over him and
Like
like
when they
screw him
pick up
up.
someone who's not stunned and then they put them
Yeah,
back out and then they get stunned. Like
yeah. And then you
that doesn't happen for
watch
Mickey X.
yeah, you watch like Mickey X or even like Eastern teams play him, and you're like, oh, this is why this pick is so freaking strong, even though they keep nerfing the shit out of Tom Kench because it's just so invaluable to have a QSS for a player, like at all
And to be
times.
fair, he is also the Mickey X was the first one to bring out Hail of Blades, Tom Kench, this
Mm.
tournament, and he fucking 1v1
Oh
80
yeah, I
Gary.
forgot about that.
He
That
just
was
walked up to him and started
ridiculous.
licking the shit out of him, man. It was so funny. It was mean. It was so mean because Tom Kench. So we've all played against Tom Kench top before, right? Where he's just
Fuck
like
that.
fucking destroyed you, and you're like, this is the stupidest champion. But to see it happen from the support role was like he literally like ulted in to a full health fight versus an 80 carry, and he just ate his ass. It was
AD
so
carries
funny.
everywhere, just shook their heads like, oh no, not again, not this.
But
Support.
the thing that also the other cool thing about G2 that Damwon has to be prepared for is they are so good at these level ones. They got a flash or a kill within the first 2 minutes of every game in their quarterfinals.
Mm-hmm.
That and they did it with 3 different pathings, right? So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like in this meta, like that's so important. Like it's been so snowbally. Like if you get if you get a lead early, like you're going to win most likely. Like there haven't been many like hardcore comebacks this Worlds. Like there's been some. There's always some. But I feel like there's been just a ton of snowball. And I feel like that's why too you see teams like FlyQuest they took a game off top esports. That was because they got an early lead and just snowballed it. Like it wasn't because it was some random game that went to 70 minutes and they won it off of like one team fight. No, they snowballed early game and then there was just really no chance for top to take it back. So.
And I think the teams are playing, and the reason it's so effective is because they're playing smarter with their leads. So, like, you get that level 1 kill, you don't go down into the lane and push it and back and grab your, tier. You sit in lane with the level advantage. They get to lane late, they get none of the CS, and then they play up in front of that brush and don't allow you anywhere near it. And then all of a sudden, oh shit, you look at the thing and they're up 20 CS.
Yeah.
Right? It's because, and I really think that's the snowball nature isn't necessarily that it's a snowbally meta. It's that the teams are so much smarter with what to do with their leads. I think that's a complaint we have in NA a lot is like you'll get a lead and then you'll piss it away, right? Because you just no, let's take this fight.
I guess we'll go to Baron.
Right. Let's dance around Baron for the next 3 minutes and give up 3 waves mid, even though we don't start Baron, right? But not this level of play like that you're watching here in the quarters and the semis. They're like, okay, we got a lead. Let's press into the jungle, get vision, take these camps away, sit in front, like, okay, support, you go top, because as soon as this guy pushes past halfway, we're going to kill him again. He's going to be down 30 CS. We're going to take that turret. It's just well, I don't think the meta is snowbally. I think that the competency and the level of play is so high that it makes it so that one small advantage can get ballooned because it's not even like the other team's fault. They're not like giving it away. It's that I have nowhere to go and nothing to do. Like if I have no farm in my jungle, then my jungler is getting behind, right? Yeah. So that's part of that Mickey X roaming with the Ankos thing that I was talking about earlier. If they can get an early lead and you can leave Perks safely in lane, then he can go and really expand that lead. Yeah. So if G2 can play that style, can get those clever level ones, they can really neutralize a lot of what DWG does, which is dominate their lanes, right? They control their lanes so well that just by sheer force, they're up 3K by the time you get to your first team fight. So I agree. I'm hoping it's a banger. I hope that it's fun. I hope G2 doesn't get stomped.
Me too.
But still, part of me watched DWG like, just choke the life out of DRX. Did you watch that miserable 30-minute first blood game where it was 1-1, but somehow DWG had a 7K lead? Like it was the most boring League of Legends I could have possibly imagined, but yet I was still slightly impressed because they were it was like just, okay, I'm going to put my hands around your throat now. Okay, you just stand there. And then over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to slowly apply
just
pressure.
Close and close, yeah.
It was, and I know like Korean fans are going to say like, no, that's beautiful League of Legends, and I'm going to tell you, it just is not. I'm from NA. I know what ugly League of Legends is, and that's a different kind, but still an ugly girl. Like that is yes, we know ugly League of Legends, but
it's
that was
really
awful.
rough. It's the reason that it's always so hard to watch NA at Worlds, right? So many teams have done this to NA over the years. Is where like you come to Worlds, you're like so excited for like, all right, they're looking good in NA, like, but then you don't realize like in NA all the other teams like throw leads away, and then you come to Korea and the Koreans are just like, nope, we have lead and we will keep it forever. You are not touching us. Yeah.
You just go into your lane and get 3 of the 6 CS, and we'll get 6 of the 6 CS. and then over the course of the next 25 minutes, that will mean you lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope G2 can take the.
What's your final prediction for the G2 Damwon?
I have to go Damwon. They're just so fucking.
I have them winning Worlds on my pick'em, so
I do too. I have Damwon and Top Esports, and then Damwon winning it. My heart wants Suning versus G2. I would much prefer that final.
Can you imagine
be
the
so
rematch
funny.
of the group stage?
It would be so fucking cool. So that's and then you could have all those people like apparently Group of A was the group of death the whole time.
Yep.
And then we could say, Team Liquid took games off of each.
Yeah,
so no matter who the champion
finalists. Yeah.
So
Astros would love that, who's also in the chat right now. Shout out to Astros, who we've been shitting on a little bit this chat. Make sure to watch us on Twitch. We do stream these most of the time. But yeah, on the other side of things, you said that you have Top winning on your bracket.
Even though I hate them, and I really want Suning to lose. Like, Knight Knight was always known as like the best player to not make world semis. And now he has. And so he's just quite literally one of the most devastating players you'll ever see. And he's one of those, like, I will get in your face and just destroy you. His Zoe is just next level. Like, we all hate Zoe, right? She's a terrible. But if you
unbiased opinion,
if you watch Knight play Zoe, you will hate her even more. You'll be like, this shouldn't be allowed in the game.
How is this happening?
He'll take like 8 flashes and jump all over your team and kill each person with a little blink of an auto attack here and a blink of an auto attack there. And it is like it's like a beautiful fire. Like you're watching it engulf like your house.
Look away.
And you're like, oh my god, fire is amazing, but no, it's destroying everything. That's basically what his Zoe's like, and that's just one of his many monsters. So the funny thing is, it's very different. Knight is very different than say Doinby last year, right, with FPX. Yeah. Like Doinby was known because it was so cool because he would take like Nautilus mid, and then he'd take,
do absolutely nothing in lane, but then he'd just win game.
And then he'd take fucking Malphite mid, and like so he played like just this so polar opposite style. Knight is not that. I love Doinby, by the way. I think that he's fantastic. I love that he innovated from that role, right? Yeah. I can take tank Malphite. It's not like he was even going AP. A lot of times he would go AP Nautilus, but he would take like tank Malphite mid when no one else was doing that. No one else would even think to do that. And he fucking chose it for his skin because it's the only one that his wife plays. Like how fucking wholesome is that? But Knight is not that. So if you will not see any Doinby in Knight. He is going to take something and he is going to try and carry. And he has every right to because he's insane.
You know what I want to see? I wish that we had the old rules from LCK where Game 5 was blind pick. I want to see Caps, Knight, Lucian 1v1. That would be insane. But yeah, I think that Top is... I mean, they're just They're so
But
good.
Suning looks so
Suning
good
looks
against JDG.
strong. Yeah.
JDG is the team that beat Top in the spring finale, and they took
Yeah.
Top to 5 games in the summer finale. That's the only reason Top was the number 1 and
Right.
JDG
Right.
was the number 2 because well, actually, I think JDG actually slipped to 3 because of that, but due to the point system. But they were right there, and that 5th game in the LPL finals was so close versus JDG and Top. And now you have Suning that just really laid it on JDG that last round with those 3 wins in a row that were quite convincing. So like we shouldn't completely count them out. SFM is
not at
looking
all.
better and better, but I do think that because of the way that Knight's playing right now, and that he can take these carry mids and really control the game, that I think that they stand a good chance.
Yeah. I think it's really good for the meta that we're back in like a or a mid jungle like dominant meta. Like I think
it's also a support dominant meta. I love the way that these supports are making their impact on the game, and
I think that's partly because like AD carry, like it's not that AD carry isn't important at all, but it's not as important as mid or jungle. So like I think that support becomes more important when your roams are more important, right? Like it's more important for the support to affect the rest of the map than it is for them to like dominate their lane.
Well, yeah, you're seeing all carry jungles, right? You got Graves, you got Nidalee, you got Lilia. Like you're looking at power farming, level up fast, take control of the game jungles, right?
Yeah.
That's your main control. So I agree. Like it's all about supporting that style. You're not seeing any tank jungles right now, right? I don't think you're seeing any tank jungles. You'll see a few interesting picks sometimes, but mainly it's Graves, Lilia, Nidalee. You'll see a couple Evelyns. For those that don't know, the main reason they're doing that is because they're choosing both AD top and AD mid. Yep. And so you really need to bring AP out of the jungle so that neither mid nor top can focus. Like if you both are AP, then they'll just focus early, like null mantles or something like that. And it really makes a huge difference at that level of play. So you'll see that they've been playing around trying to, specifically work those AP jungles in where you can then have a Lucian mid and, a Gangplank top. And it makes it all that much more damaging.
Sure.
But yeah, the jungle is definitely the carry position right now. That's what's popular. That's actually why it's so interesting. Lee Sin was like such a bad pick. Like he had like a 10% win rate, but then SFM is known as he was like a Lee Sin one trick on before he got picked up by a team, and it still works. Even though he's so bad, but his control in team fights and his ability to get picks because of his mechanical play on that champion still can work. So you'll still see a couple of pocket picks, come out, which I love. I think that pocket picks are important for these teams to have. Because it can really throw a curveball into the lineup.
Yeah, I think it's important to like theorycraft and find new picks because like a lot of times when new picks start getting put into worlds, like it's not because they got buffed or anything. It's because this thing was getting picked all the time, and now this like is good against it. Like we've talked about before on the podcast about the MF pick and Zyra pick back in the day for support. But the other one that I always think about too, and actually I don't think it was really a big Worlds thing, but it was just like a big meta shift, was when Trundle's support was getting played. Like that really came out of nowhere. Like he didn't get buffs or anything. Everyone just realized like his pillar's really strong. This is working really well.
Really strong.
Yeah, if we just like max it and build cooldown, like this just kind of takes over team fight areas. And then they had to nerf the pillar into the ground because everyone was just maxing it and putting it into team fights. And so like I really love that like idea. Like he's like the Singed by Bwipo because it specifically is really good into Ornn. And then the Lee Sin, just because SFM can take control of that champion and really knows how to use him, and like he's really good early game, but then if you know how to use him late game, like his picks are invaluable. So yeah, I love those kind of picks. But so we both have Damwon top, and then Damwon winning Worlds, right?
So there's no chance of that occurring.
So if G2 and Suning go to finals, who do you have?
I gotta go G2. If G2 could get past Damwon,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll also be rooting for it. I'd really love to see a European team do that. I think that there's some really good stories behind that. Not just Caps, but like Perks has like personally had a rough year. Like he lost his father. He's and that was right around the playoffs time. So like you're wondering like where his head's at and all that. I would love for like him to be able to get like a victory. I think that would be really fucking cool for him after being such a stalwart in the European scene for so long. And I think Mickey X is playing outstanding and absolutely deserves it. But I hope they get past Damwon. If they get past Damwon, and
I think they win. I agree. I think if they can beat
they're gonna have
Damwon,
so much momentum because you're just gonna feel like you're like on king of shit hill right there, man. You're like you're just gonna be like we fucking. The only worry I would have, I'd almost prefer them go against Top Esports if they do win, because then you won't have that lull, right? Because so if you beat Damwon, like what is known as like one of the top two in the entire thing, and then you go up against Suning, you might have like overconfidence or something like that. But if you beat Damwon and then you go right into Top Esports, I think you keep that momentum, right? Because you're like, okay, we beat number 2, now let's go fucking take on number 1.
I can also see it like we just have like Top stomps Suning, G2 makes it, we're all hype on G2, and then Top is
and
just like,
stop.
No.
You know what? Actually, that'd be what I expect to happen, because Jackie Love will ruin anything that I actually value.
He needs another skin, so.
Yeah, that piece of shit.
Well, I think we got a lot of really good talk about Worlds. I'm super excited for semi and finals. Yeah, I hope that G2 can pull out a win, but I think Damwon is really fucking strong. I think we're gonna end it here.
I got one final note.
All right.
I've really enjoyed podcasting, but I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break here for a little bit. I have baby number 2 on the way.
Hey,
literally any day.
Awesome,
So I have had so much fun talking about Worlds and talking about everything else with the rest of the community. I will still be around all the time, and by all the time, I mean if I'm allowed to get on the computer. If I'm not allowed to get on the computer, I won't be around at all. But I'll still be in Discord all the time, or as much as I possibly can be. But I'll probably take a little bit of a break here for probably the next couple of months. But I'll be back once things settle down and hopefully the baby learns to sleep.
Awesome. Well, I've really enjoyed our Worlds talk. The other announcement I want to make, well, one, check out our Discord. There's tons of games going on there. We've been playing a bunch of Among Us recently, so if you like Among Us too, come play that with us. There's almost always a game at night. We almost always play like 3 or 4 games at night. So
there's like 10, 15 people in the Among Us chat, like vying for spots. So yeah, join up. And people are having a blast with it.
But the other announcement, I am setting the date for November 18th is our episode 300. I'm going to try to get into contact with as many people as possible from past podcasters and current podcasters to get on that day. We're going to be playing Jeopardy. I'm still making that, so if you have like trivia, the one thing that's really hard is I'm going through a bunch of old episodes to try to remember like old jokes. So if you have like specific if you've been listening to the podcast for a long time, if you have specific like inside jokes that you remember from the old podcast, I'd love to hear them. Message me on Discord. But yeah, I'm super looking forward to that. We probably will play like some games as casters and stuff like that too, so that should be fun. So mark your calendars, November 18th. But besides that, I think we're gonna wrap up the show tonight. Anything final words, or you good?
No, I'm good.
All right. Good night, everybody. All right.
Nice. I think that went well.
Yeah.
I think we got a lot of good shit in there.
Hell yeah. At first I was like, Worlds and other stuff, and then we just kept going on Worlds. I was like, this is perfect. We're going to fill so much time with Worlds. Like,
there's been there was just a lot of good stuff to talk about, like with Worlds. So I agree. That went really well.
Let's make sure the recordings come through. Awesome. Let's see. Wait, did I do what I want? Oh, I think I just shared the wrong. I'm also just gonna end the stream.